Imagine yourself right in the middle of a bustling fair. Everywhere is packed with people. Around you is a sea of unfamiliar faces, a symphony of sounds, a whirlwind of smells, laughter, and movement. Your horse is far away behind a fence, standing at an angle where you can't see it for even a moment. You didn't call out to it, you didn't wave, you didn't even say its name. Yet, in the midst of all this chaos, your horse lifts its head and turns directly toward you. Inside, you say to yourself, "It saw me, but it didn't notice you with its eyes." No, long before that, it connected with you through a secret bond, one that set you apart from the crowd of faces and voices, a bond of which you may not even have been aware. Stay with us until the end of the video, because this insight at the very end is something that most horse owners overlook throughout their entire lives. This is what your horse knows. If this is your first time here, click the subscribe button and join us to explore the fascinating world of your horse's mind together. Now think about this. Even for a human, it can be difficult to spot a familiar face in a crowded place. Hundreds of movements and sounds swirl around you. Our brains try to filter out all this noise and often get tired without finding what we're looking for. So how does your horse manage to do this? A task that's difficult even for you without looking directly at you? Let's start here to understand the answer. Your horse is a prey animal. No matter how long they've been domesticated, the instincts of their ancestors, who roamed vast plains, still run through their veins. Imagine a wild herd living on a boundless meadow. They're alert to every scent carried by the wind, every silhouette on the horizon, and every footstep, all at the same time. In their world, survival depends on filtering out the chaos and extracting the right information in an instant. Which movement signals danger, which belongs to a friend, which sound is familiar and which is foreign. A horse is built to process countless signals and make decisions in a matter of seconds. For a horse, a crowd is not chaos. It is a map waiting to be deciphered. Every sound, movement, scent, and silhouette has its own place on this map. What appears to us as a jumbled wall can, to a horse, transform into distinct and meaningful signals. This ability lies deep within them. In a wild herd, a horse cannot risk confusing its own family with other horses. Even in the midst of a whirlwind of scents, sounds, and movements, it can instantly distinguish what belongs to it. When danger strikes, a horse that follows the wrong horse risks being separated from the herd. Those with the keenest awareness survive, and your horse carries this legacy in its veins. One of the brain's most remarkable features is memory. Scientists have discovered that horses have a surprisingly strong long-term memory. Horses can remember people and how those people have treated them over the years. But the key point is this: a horse does not form a bond with you based on a single clue. Instead, it perceives you as a whole by piecing together many different cues at the same time. That's why, even when only one of these cues stands out in a crowd, a horse can fill in the missing pieces on its own. So how does it do this? This is where things get interesting. The answer becomes clearer when we look at each part of this personal signature separately and then see how the horse puts them together. Consider this. Researchers have discovered that horses can associate a person's voice with that person's face. This is called cross-modal recognition. It might sound a bit complicated, but it's actually quite simple and impressive. When a horse hears a voice, it can mentally conjure the face that matches that voice. In one study, horses were played the voice of a familiar person while being shown several different faces at the same time. What do you think happened? The horses focused on the correct face, the one associated with the voice. It was as if they had a complete profile of that person, one that combined both their voice and their appearance. Now think about what this means at a crowded fair. You might be outside your horse's field of vision, perhaps hidden behind a crowd. But your voice, a familiar murmur coming from your direction, the rhythm of your footsteps, or someone else calling your name, one of these clues reaches him, and your horse reconstructs your entire profile based on that single sign alone. It turns its head because the connection within it has already been established. It doesn't need to see you clearly. It already knows. A single familiar cue can bring the rest of the picture to life, and your voice, face, movements, and past experiences can all come together as pieces of the same person. Your horse can distinguish your voice from those of strangers and associate it directly with your face. Can you imagine hearing someone's voice in a crowd and visualizing their face in your mind without actually seeing them? Perhaps you can do this only for your closest friends and family. But your horse does this for you with the keen awareness of a predator. Amid all that chaos, there is only one thing that stands out to him: you. It doesn't take days of observation for him to understand this. The brain's structure naturally processes information by combining sound with sight and scent with movement to form a holistic picture. When you know someone well enough, all these sensory details come together as a single whole. That is why, when any part of that whole, a sound, a shadow, or a scent, is triggered, the rest of the information instantly floods your mind. Even in the midst of a bustling crowd, your horse senses your unique presence. However, sound is only the first part of the answer. Recognition naturally extends from hearing to sight, movement, and smell. The way your horse recognizes you is not limited to a single sense. Change your clothes, put on a thick coat, pull your hat down over your eyes, or cover half your face. Your horse will still find you, because it recognizes you not by a single trait, but by a unique signature composed of many cues at once. Horses are surprisingly skilled at recognizing faces. Research has shown that people can even interpret emotions. They can tell whether you are angry, kind, tense, or calm. In fact, their ability to read faces is so well developed that they can express approximately 17 different emotions using their own facial muscles. They are sensitive enough to notice even the slightest change in facial expression and commit every minute detail of your face to memory. But this isn't limited to your face alone. Your height, posture, the shape of your shoulders, and the unique rhythm of your steps are all part of this signature. Even if you're too far away for them to see your face clearly, horses can recognize your silhouette and the way you move. And let's not forget your scent. This adds another familiar layer to the profile created by your voice, face, posture, and movement. A horse's sense of smell is much stronger than ours. If the wind is blowing from the right direction, it can detect your scent long before it sees you. Now let's put it all together. Sound, face, silhouette, posture, rhythm, and even scent. No matter how dense the crowd is, it may be enough for just a few of these elements to catch its attention. A horse can fill in the gaps by piecing together the missing parts. While a person might say, "I didn't recognize him," your horse can piece together the whole picture from a single detail. That's why, when it lifts its head and looks at you at the fair, it's not just its eyes that notice you. The holistic image it carries within is reawakened by the slightest sign. That moment isn't just a matter of chance. It's a moment of recognition. A few small clues have come together, and in an instant, the horse has singled out a single familiar person from the entire crowd. Think of it this way. When your horse sees you in completely different clothes, for example, in a raincoat, a hat pulled down over your eyes, or a work shirt you rarely wear, most people might hesitate before recognizing you. But your horse doesn't hesitate. Your horse doesn't focus on your clothes. It perceives your true essence behind all of that. Your clothes may change, but your essence remains the same. That's why your horse recognizes you from a place deeper than you might even realize. But the real question is this: there were so many people in that crowd. Why did the horse choose you specifically? The answer lies in the signature itself, in the emotion you imbue it with. Scientists suggest that horses not only recognize a person but also remember how that person treated them. That's why, to your horse, you're not just a face, a voice, or a silhouette. You're also an emotion. Every calm moment, every gentle touch, and every morning you spend together is etched into its memory. Each of these moments doesn't have to seem extraordinary on its own. When repeated over time, they become the emotional pattern your horse associates with your presence. That's why you stand out more clearly than all the other faces. When your horse scans the crowd, it may actually be searching for the sense of trust it associates with you. And that trust comes from a single source: you. Scientists have discovered something truly remarkable. Horses can recognize a person not only by their identity, but also by the emotional expressions they've previously displayed. Even if a horse later sees that person with a neutral expression, it may still react based on the emotion it associates with their previous encounter. So, if over the years you've made your horse feel calm, safe, and understood, it will remember you with that soothing feeling. When it sees that familiar kindness in a crowd, it finds the place where it feels at peace. Now we come to one of the most touching parts. Research shows that the heart rates of humans and horses can synchronize over time and even become in sync. When you're calm, your horse may gradually calm down as well, as if two hearts have found a shared rhythm. This isn't just a poetic notion. It's something that can be measured. As you've found peace alongside your horse over the years, he may have learned to respond to that calmness. You're the one who understands how his heart should beat. That's why, in the midst of a crowded and noisy environment, you become a haven of peace for the horse. And when the horse finds you, it actually finds its own peace as well. Your horse has recognized you as part of a trusted environment, just as a wild horse distinguishes members of its own herd in a crowd. The crowd cannot easily weaken this bond. So when did this bond form? How did you earn your place in that special profile? This is a question many horse owners don't take the time to think about. Now, pause for a moment and slow your breathing. There is also an emotional aspect to this process of recognition and memory, and you are at its center. When your horse looks for you in a crowd, it is not merely a passive behavior. It directs its attention toward you amid countless competing signals. The act of turning its head indicates that something about your presence stands out. Sometimes the horse makes this recognition even more explicit. If your horse neighs when it sees you, it's definitely not just a random sound. Scientists have discovered that a horse's neigh actually consists of two distinct layers. One conveys whether the emotion is positive or negative, while the other conveys how strong that emotion is. That's why, when this sound echoes through a crowd, it can feel like a little message. I found you. This is important to me. We might dismiss this as an ordinary sound, but it could be a special call directly linked to recognition. What makes this meaningful is that prey animals typically rely on staying quiet and blending into their surroundings. Drawing attention can invite danger. Yet, when your horse sees you, it may raise its voice and make its presence known. It's ready to call out to you even among strangers. This can be understood as a vocal expression of trust. I feel safe enough to be heard. The next time you hear this call, pause for a moment and consider what might be behind it. This bond didn't form on its own. You helped create it. Every peaceful morning, every soothing word, and every patient moment became a part of this bond. Amid all those people at the fair, the horse sought that familiar calm and found you. Once you truly understand this, you may never look at the way it turns its head toward you in quite the same way again. Because behind this gesture lies a deep bond woven over the years, and anyone who has experienced such a bond knows it's something they would never want to lose. That's why I want you to truly understand this. There were countless people in that crowd. Many faces, voices, and movements, but the horse chose you. To your horse, you are much more than just a face or a voice. You are a whole being, a combination of your voice, your posture, your scent, and most importantly, the unshakable trust you've built. No one had to teach the horse this. It learned to recognize you on its own, through every interaction you shared. In the crowd, you were the one associated with familiarity, calmness, and trust. Think about how meaningful that is. Many people may have come and gone in your horse's life, caretakers, visitors, and strangers. Some of these may now be nothing more than faint memories in the background. However, your presence has become more distinct thanks to the consistency you've shown. Every calm encounter and every day spent with patience has reinforced the pattern your horse associates with you. Now you have the chance to observe this firsthand. When you go to see your horse tomorrow, try a little experiment. Find a safe spot outside the horse's field of vision, where it can't see you, and call out to it using only your voice. Notice how quickly and confidently it turns its head toward you. Then, if possible, observe the horse when someone it doesn't know very well tries the same thing. The difference may be striking. Pay attention to the speed and decisiveness of its response. This difference is part of the unspoken message your horse has been sharing with you for years, and now you can finally understand it. So, do you have a story you'd like to share? A moment when your horse recognized you from a distance, found you without being able to see you clearly, or called out to you when it sensed you were nearby. Share your story in the comments. Real stories like this reveal just how deep the bond between horses and humans can become. If you want to continue exploring the depths of your horse's mind, don't forget to subscribe to the What Your Horse Knows channel. In the next video, we'll discover why your horse feels more at ease by your side in the dark. I can't wait to see you there.